And to Fayetteville, now remember the redshirt rule passed earlier this year. Players can play in 4 games, and redshirt is starting to have an effect. Arkansas's top receiver from 2017, Jonathan Nance, announced that he will redshirt and transfer after having only 1 catch this season. He has a year of eligibility remaining.
After evaluating the film from the Alabama game, it was a great opportunity for our team, again, to compete in a great environment against a very good opponent. I think we learned some more about our team, more about ourselves, good and bad, the things we have to improve on and opportunities. But from a competition standpoint and a competitive standpoint, I thought we played hard again. But now what we have to do is play more intelligent and understand momentum swings of the game to control those situations and take advantage of our opportunities better. And I think if you look at the game, we break it down gradually here, you'll see that's what Alabama did and we didn't do enough of. And that's what really good football teams do. They're a very good team. They're very well coached. They play well. They've got a great culture to win, and that's what we're developing here. And I think our kids at times responded well to a lot of different adversity. I think all 4 games you grow, and I think every game is different because the situations are different. You get caught up looking at a quarterback statistically. You can't do that. Statistics only tell part of the story about how the momentum of a game goes, the flow of the game, the leadership of the game, how the sideline's reacting, how you're reacting, things you're being asked to do. And I think he's played he's had 2 turnovers in that deal all year, which was there last week. One was, it's inches when you're stepping up, and the other one, he's just trying to make a play, which, you got to eliminate that. But I think he's played pretty well. Is there every read perfect? No. Is every throw perfect? No. But he's played pretty daggone well, and the plays he's created and the competition level when he started to step up and never flinching if we get behind, whatever happens, rallying the guys have supreme confidence in him. So I think all 4. I don't, whether we won him or lost him, I think he's really competed well as a quarterback. And I feel when we're calling plays, and as a play caller, you can look into a guy's eyes and say, he's got good numbers, but things aren't going well. There's senses it's hard to explain to the public. I've never gotten that out of him. Every moment of every game, whether it's a mistake or a good play, he's into it. He understands it, why it's happening, and has played very consistent that way. And his competitive nature is super, his toughness. It really is.
A&M looking to bounce back this week against Arkansas. Aggies 2-2 so far this season, dropping that heartbreaker to Clemson and then losing to Alabama. The series, though, has been close against Arkansas, with 3 of the last 4 going into overtime. The Aggies have won the last 6 of those matchups. Hey, Jimbo Fisher, what can you tell me something nice about the Hogs?
They'll play an Arkansas team who's playing very well right now. As far as defense, they give up 225 yards to Auburn. That's all they had. And Auburn scored got turnovers and special team mistakes. They blocked a punt, had 2 punt returns, had a fumble and interception. That's how Auburn got all the points. They only give up 220 yards of offense for the whole game. That's outstanding.
This is an offense that we're about to face that leads the league. They're 7th in the country in total offense. They've got a strong rush defense. They're 3rd in the league.
Chad always does a great job. I've all the way back to Clemson days, and I knew him in high school when I was at LSU. He used to come visit us, and I saw him at clinics, and we were friends and known him a long time. He's always done an outstanding job on the offensive side of the football, and they can move the football.
We got to create turnovers, though. That's part of our mindset. That's part of our culture. That's part of who we are and who we want to be.
I think anytime you get a chance to expose yourself to other parts of Texas and the great city of Dallas, and that's a huge area for us to recruit. It's a great venue to go play in. That's as nice a place as there is in the country.
We got a huge fan base there in Dallas, and I'm excited to go and see our fan base show up and call the Hogs.
Ask me, do I ever want to walk out of Kyle Field? No. Let's take one of our away games and move it up there. You know what I mean? But, you don't ever want to walk out this venue and what's here. But that is a tremendous venue to play, and I think it's a great opportunity for us, and it is good for us.
While I think the talent discrepancy between these 2 teams is vastly different right now, I would say this. We talked about this before the season. This game for A&M was extremely important because starting 2-2, you couldn't afford to go 2-3 in that first game. What is it about A&M that they need to work on against Arkansas that you want to see them get better at?
Offensively, I want them to protect Kellen Mond a little bit more. Last game, he was sacked 7 times, and you were terrible on 3rd down going 3 for 12. You have to protect the guy who's going to throw the football around and move, because he's going to be the key to your season beginning right this week. Kellen Mond is one of the more dynamic players. He's grown as a quarterback. He's throwing the football a lot better this season than he did last year. So you can see the emergence of Jimbo Fisher in Kellen Mond. Protect your quarterback and be better on 3rd down in this ball game.
We've heard all the coaches be extremely nice against their opponents, especially in SEC play.
Everybody's good.
I'm going to make you do that as well, too. What's good about Arkansas, or what did they need to feel good about after this game?
Well,
Let me say this. This is a
You were
roster.
down there in the spring, right?
This is a roster and a coaching staff that right now is planning for the future. They have a long-term blueprint. You could make an argument that there is not a coaching change that occurred in college football this year that has a roster that is so mismatched with what the philosophy is offensively than Arkansas. When I was there this past spring, they spent their winter conditioning program getting their offensive line to trim down.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have a discrepancy in personnel, not only in terms of enough of it, but the type of it.
Right.
So whether they're equipped to beat a team like Texas A&M athletically, right now they're not. They're not. They're going to need help. They're going to need Texas A&M to go out and lay an egg, turn the ball over in the red area, allow allow a punt return for a touchdown, allow Arkansas to linger and stay in it.
And you know why this game is important for him? Because he has those ties into Texas high school coaches.
Oh, no doubt.
Playing in Arlington. That's why those coaches like playing that game in Jerry World, because
Big
the amount of
showcase for
talent Arkansas wants to show out and have the upset against A&M.
So A&M's lost twice to the two of the best teams in the country. What is your take on what they've done so far? Forgetting the losses, I mean, they play Arkansas this week in Arlington.
I think they definitely played well in those games. I think obviously Alabama's a different breed, and everybody knows how tough they can be. But I thought they learned a lot about their team in the game versus Clemson. They were in that ball game to the end. I think they learned a lot from the Alabama game, and I think Jimbo knows exactly who his players are and what they're about and what they can bring to the table in these big time environments. So I think Texas A&M is already ahead of schedule, because I'm not sure if a lot of people thought Texas A&M would be as competitive as they were in those ball games. Alabama got away from them, but Clemson game, they had a definite chance to win that ball game, and Texas A&M is going to be a threat really sooner than I think people expect.
Arkansas football not getting a lot of love here on the program. Maybe it's going to change. Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall, veteran, longtime columnist there. Razorbacks lost 34-3. I realize I'm reading a headline, and I'm reading it quickly, but the truth was Arkansas was as good as Auburn. Okay. And now helping us be the readiest is Wally Hall, brought to you by Holiday Inn Express. Wally, we've known each other a long time. You've always been one of my favorites, and I can't thank you enough for joining us here. But I do, after saying hello, have to ask you about your point of view on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paul.
So, what's going on out there?
Well, right now I'm in traffic. You know, I got that 10 minutes of the heavy traffic text from my wife saying, "Can you pick up Patrick?" So,
well, can she wait until we finish?
I'm on my way. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
So, listen, if you didn't know any better, you'd think Arkansas is one of the worst teams in the country, but you obviously know better, right?
They're pretty bad. Probably the worst team I've ever seen. I was the worst Arkansas team, not the worst team I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I was a little taken back Saturday night by Auburn's offensive line and their inability. I think they gave up 9 tackles for losses, and that hadn't been Arkansas's strength.
So you clearly were not impressed with the native Arkansan coaching Arkansas, Auburn. So are you? I mean, were you encouraged, or were you just discouraged by what you saw from Auburn?
I was a little encouraged by Arkansas's defense. I was a little surprised at the firepower that Auburn lacks. You know, usually Gus has got some kind of tricks in a bag to help make up for any deficiency they may have, but I didn't see anything. Maybe he didn't need it. Maybe Arkansas's not so special teams took care of Arkansas for him.
So, okay, well, I get your concern about Auburn, and you're not the only one. I've heard from a number of Auburn fans, but help us understand this Arkansas program. And I know it's easy to blame the head coach, but how much of this is his fault? How much belongs to what has been going on out there under Brett Bielema?
You know, Paul, I think it's probably a lot of just, and this happens across the country, the new coach, new philosophy. Chad is more of a disciplinarian. Brett was one of the guys. And, you know, the players were used to kind of throwing their clothes around in the locker room and leaving their food bags behind, and all of that's changed now. And so there's some grumbling going on, and, you know, Chavis is a great defensive coordinator, but he believes you get ready for a game on the practice field, and so he practices them hard, and they haven't been accustomed to that. So there's been, and we're starting to see some attrition. You know, we've had one guy announce he's going to go ahead and redshirt this year and transfer, and there's another player that hadn't practiced in 2 weeks, but they won't say he's off the team because you know how coaches are these days. They don't want you to know anything. But that's kind of what I wrote today. It looks like they may be getting some addition by subtraction.
So how does this program improve to a point where it's significant enough to do what he needs to do? And as you know, that is to attract top-level recruits that you can finally turn the corner.
Right. Well, every recruiting class for the next 3 years is going to be better than the last one. That's got to be his number one goal. He's got to get into Texas and get some of those four-star players that are going to Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Missouri. I don't know why no coach at Arkansas has ever gone into North Texas and tried to get those kids away from the Big 12. This is an opportunity to play in the SEC, for crying out loud. And to me, I think that would be just my number one recruiting ploy would be tell them you're going to play in the best league in America, and you're going to do it probably as a freshman. But I think that's where it starts. He's got contacts in Texas, and he needs contacts in Texas. And, you know, you're not going to go – Arkansas is not going to go into Alabama and get the best players. Brett tried to do that. Petrino tried to do that. And, you know, Arkansas recruiting a kid in Alabama is absolutely ridiculous. They may get lucky every once in a while, but you're going to waste a lot of scholarships before you find a keeper.
Wally Hall with us. Wally, you alluded a minute ago how bad it is, and it is bad. And who knows? Maybe Gus Malzahn took mercy on his friend the other day. I have no idea. It's not like I really studied the game, but I did watch some of it, not all of it. But realistically, what's the rest of this season going to look like?
Oh, I don't expect a lot in wins. As a journalist, I expect them to see them improve. I don't know how they can't get better. It's just like they bottomed out at Colorado State. Remember a couple of weeks ago, the defensive back for the Buffalo Bills quit at halftime. He retired.
Yes.
I felt that same exact way the night before out at Colorado State. I didn't want to type anymore. I just wanted to go home. It's frustrating to watch this team not be better than what they are. I didn't expect much this year. I think I picked 6 and 6, or maybe 5 and 7. But I expected more than what I've seen so far.
So if you wanted to walk away before Colorado State, how did you feel at halftime of North Texas?
Maybe it was North Texas. Yeah, it was the North Texas.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah, that was one that was just like Colorado. And you've been in this position when you're writing a column on Deadline. You've got the whole thing written, and all of a sudden you're rewriting 4 times.
Sure.
So that was a frustrating. But North Texas was the one where I just felt like, and the halftime of Auburn, I needed a nap. I thought that game was boring, no matter who was on the field on offense.
You know better than I do, but Arkansas fans are great fans, and they're passionate about this program. But based on what's happened lately and what's happening now, I mean, where is the fan base, and can they stand together long enough for this thing to turn? Because right now it looks pretty bleak.
You know, Paul, justifiably, they're very, very frustrated. They've been told for 7 years it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And now they hear in the 7th year, and they've bottomed out, and they don't want to hear they're going to get better. They want to hear we are better. And so the fans are very frustrated. You know, there was some boos, and that's not traditional at Arkansas. during the North Texas game. The fans are usually pretty loyal, but there were some pretty loud boos, and I'm pretty sure North Texas fans helped out with that booing. It got kind of comical because there weren't that many Razorback fans left for it to be that loud.
Do you? I'm curious because I was about to ask you about your thoughts on Chad Morris, but kind of take me through your process on him in terms of how you feel like he has handled the preseason, and is he the right coach to keep fans patient as this rebuilding job continues?
I think there's a little bit of a learning curve for him with the fans and the media that we didn't really expect. But when he was at SMU, he may have had 2 people covering him. So, he takes 45 minutes after a game, and he walks into a room, there's 2 guys there. Now, the way they've got their situation set up, he still takes that 45 minutes even on a night game. But the fans are sitting outside staring into the press conference. There's a big glass room that they've redone in this new remodel they did, and the fans are watching. And he has to go through them to get there. And, there's just so many more avid fans here than SMU has. And there's a lot of demands. A lot of people are ESPN educated about football, and it's so easy to sit there on your sofa and watch great football, and then you go watch your team play, and they're throwing 6 picks in a game. Let's face it, nobody's going to win throwing 6 interceptions in a game.
What's the final record going to be this year, Wally?
Why do you always ask the tough questions? Why can't you just don't talk about it?
I learned from you.
I think, first let me say, if I had an AP vote, Alabama would easily be number 1.
Good.
And I heard that argument. That was somebody trying to be different. I think 2-10 is possible, maybe even 3-9. You get further into the season, the teams start to get nicked up, and Arkansas catches LSU right after they play Alabama. And you and I know how intense that game can be. And if Alabama wins like they should, LSU may roll into Fayetteville a little bit down.
True. That is
So 3-9 at the best.
okay. So the wins would be, you got Tulsa. I guess that's a win, isn't it?
It better be.
A&M Arkansas this weekend. Prime time, noontime ESPN game. 93% chance of A&M to win that game. Wouldn't that be something if they could upset the Aggies? Sure would. Guys, please interpret what Wally Hall had to say.
I'm having a hard time interpreting what Wally Hall had to say.
Not impressed with Auburn, that's for sure.
I'll tell you what.
No.
He wasn't. But when he said possibly 2-10, I was like, where are we at here with Arkansas? I mean, just going back to the A&M game, like those were some of the better games, 3 overtime games in the last 6 that we've had, and it's not a blimp on the radar this year. And it's because Arkansas is just not been great.
Good. I mean, we can't.
Good home schedule though. You got Ole Miss, Tulsa, and Vanderbilt, all winnable, right?
Yeah, Tulsa's very win. I mean, I would say Tulsa's winnable.
You have to have pride at some point, Paul.
Absolutely.
And Arkansas players, I refuse to believe that any team in the SEC has no pride like that, and they're giving up, and they're going to go Vontae Davis on us and just stop playing.
Well, the writers are
apparently
going out.
Wally almost did.
Right. But I know when a guy who's covered something for so long, he looks back at it and he's watching the game, and it looks like the players don't care. So that's up to Chad Morris to kind of get everybody together and just say, hey, play for
pride.
Play for us. Play for the Arkansas. Play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. And so you're looking at that, and I think they can win more than 2 games.
Really? Why? Why do you think that?
Because it's still Arkansas.
No, it's not.
No, it's still Arkansas.
It doesn't matter. I mean, this is a program that was beaten by 4 touchdowns at home to North Texas. How can you?
Paul, did anybody have an idea that Brett Bielema let it get that bad there?
There were some people, obviously the administration, when they got rid of Jeff Long.
Yeah, but when you have a new coach and you don't return a quarterback, I mean, you're already starting behind the 8 ball.
Right.
But I don't think there was any Arkansas fan out there that thought they were only going to win
Who's their
2 or
defensive
3
coordinator?
We
games.
heard 6, 7, 8 wins on the show all summer.
Yeah, like 5-7, 6-6, very attainable was kind of the preseason rumblings. I don't know. This is a tough one because I'm as confused as everybody else.
I got an honest question, Paul. In all your years doing this and talking to people who've covered SEC teams, have you ever heard a writer so dejected?
No,
so
and by the way, Wally's covered Arkansas football for 40 years. I mean, this is not a newbie here. We're about to head to Texas in a few minutes, and it's a game that has always been one of the showcase games of this weekend between A&M and Arkansas. And right now, everyone is writing off Arkansas. When you watch that team, what do you see?
Not a lot of good. I think they're trying hard, which you want to give them credits. I think they're playing for their coaches. But, man, when you go back and watch the film against North Texas, not even Auburn, against North Texas, you think, I get it, North Texas is not a bad team. You think, man, this is not the Arkansas of the past. This is not the Arkansas that played us into the fourth quarter. This is not the Arkansas that had, Felix Jones and McFadden and Peyton Hillis and all these guys. And they're going to – Chad Morris has his work cut out for him where he's going to need to go recruit and get some players.
And the same question about Tennessee. You saw them play with Florida last weekend. If you're a Tennessee fan.
Well, I think there's a lot of concern, but I don't think it's as much because I think they have players. You can't turn the ball over 6 times.
Right.
That kills any team. I don't care who you are. Alabama might even lose if they turn the ball over 6 times. Close. And it's just they killed themselves in that game, and it ran away with them. But you have more hope for Tennessee than Arkansas right now.
Brock Huer joining us from Texas. Brock, thank you very, very much. They're going to rename the stadium after you, aren't they?
I don't think so. But I will be honest with you, Paul. This is about the nicest broadcast booth that we're in all season long. And we did this game last year. It was a 50-43 overtime game. And our crew has done 4 games this year. And the underdog has not only covered all 4, but the underdog has actually won 3 of the 4. So if you're an Arkansas fan, you got the right crew at least coming to town to call it.
Yeah, and that game last year, as you well know, Brock, was the beginning of the end for Brett Bielema. He was hanging on. He had to win this game. And, because you've done the game, to Arkansas people, this game really matters a lot. So help us understand tomorrow because it's hard to find a lot to be upbeat about if you're a Razorback fan.
Yeah, we were watching some of the tape earlier as a crew, and I would say this, Paul, the best part of this Arkansas team right now is their front 7. And they were without a couple of their best players to begin the year, and they get Randy Ramsey back and Greenlaw back, and they get those 2 back. And that crew played really good at Auburn. I mean, that crew and that front 7 played good enough, to keep that a game, but the special teams was woeful. And obviously they're really challenged offensively at quarterback in a number of spots, trying to just figure out what kind of team they want to be. But the one strength they have is their defensive line, their front 7. And if there's one area where A&M can be a little bit vulnerable, it is still some of their pieces up front and getting after the quarterback. And that will have to be really key and critical for Arkansas tomorrow.
Talking to Brock, as you look, I know you mentioned the good part, maybe some added energy and good play, but what's wrong with this Arkansas team?
Yeah, they don't know who they are right now. It's unlike some of these situations we've seen this year, maybe even with Jimbo. Jimbo's got a pretty good feel for what his team is and what they're not. He's got a really good running back. He's got young linemen. Got a good wide receiver. He's got enough pieces defensively that are SEC talent worthy. I think Jimbo knows what he's got. I don't think in any way Coach Morris knows exactly what kind of team he has. And when you don't have a quarterback and you have 2 guys playing or 3 guys playing with all different skill sets, man, it makes it very, very difficult to judge. Frankly, Paul, it reminds me a little bit of what we had week 1 with Chip Kelly at UCLA. We sat down with Chip Kelly the day before and he said, I know one thing, we're unbelievably young. We don't have much experience. We have nobody that's really done what I'm going to ask them to do. And I don't think this Arkansas crew's quite that young or quite at that level. But for Morris and his staff, it has just been an absolute trying to figure out what they are. And unfortunately, I think a lot of their fans feel like they know what they're not. And what they're not right now is not good enough.
Let's talk about the other side. For a 2-loss team, there's a lot of energy and excitement. at A&M. Of course, the 2 losses are only to the 2 best teams in the country. What do you make out of Jimbo's bunch?
Yeah, I love what Jimbo does offensively. You know, Paul, I think if you surveyed all of us in the field that are out every week calling these games and said, especially the former quarterbacks, and said, hey, who's a coordinator, a play caller that you would love to play for if you could go back to college football? And Jimbo Fisher, I think, would be on any former quarterback's short list. He does so much good stuff. They run, you know, just about everything under the sun, yet they keep it pretty simple. You see a lot of the same plays and formations you saw at Florida State when he had a first-round quarterback. So his track record speaks for itself. And, you know, to be productive against Clemson with some of their shortcomings up front and still throw for 400 yards, to go to Alabama, and yes, it took Kellen running for 100, but to move the ball up and down the 20s at times, to make some big plays, I think pretty representative of why they gave that guy a 10-year, $75 million contract.
It's a game that virtually no one is giving Arkansas a chance to win. That has been their description all year. They've looked just downright horrible. The North Texas game, which I think both Tim and Brock alluded to, North Texas is actually a pretty good team, but there's just no excuse, as many have pointed out, to lose like that at home. So you saw Arkansas last week against Auburn, and they head to Dallas. We talked a minute ago to Brock Huard. What's the deal, Cole? Tell us about this Arkansas team.
Well, first and foremost, they don't have the personnel to be what Chad Morris wants them to be. That's just the reality. And the roster is somewhat depleted of talent. But what I did see last week was some consistency. And when I visited with you last Friday, it's one of the things that I talk about Coach Morris wanted to try to begin to find. I think now they know Ty Story is the quarterback. That's going to be their guy moving forward. He adds a little bit of mobility. He's a guy that can create on his own some. And he got beat up last week. His jersey was green when he walked out of Jordan-Hare Stadium. But they know now that's their guy, so they can build around him moving forward. I think they have the running back rotation set. You saw a little more explosive plays generated out of the running back spot from Arkansas a week ago. And defensively getting Dre Greenlaw back, not only from a production standpoint, but a leadership standpoint, is going to help John Chavis begin to build that defense. I think there are a few wins in the future of Arkansas this season. Not many, but a few. And I think that the consistency is the big reason why.
This rule was used to develop young talent. So I think there needs to be a tweak made to say, hey, either only underclassmen can be utilized in this 4-game redshirt rule, or maybe only freshmen. But for seniors, I love the fact that players were going to be looking out for here, that was try to give the student athlete an advantage. But I don't like the way it's being manipulated. If you are a senior potential grad transfer, make that decision before the season. Don't get in the middle of the year and decide you're going to bail on the rest of your team. Not cool.
Yeah, other instances, too. Jonathan Nance, receiver at Arkansas,
That's right.
too. One a really good receiver at Oklahoma State, Jalen McCleskey. Be interesting to see where these things pop up there.
By the way, there's some bye weeks for some other teams, so they haven't played their 4th game. It's not the end of it. We're going to see some more after this weekend as well.
No doubt.
Yeah.
All right. Some thought this might be the case with Jalen Hurts. Doesn't appear to be. Truth or not to?
This was a tough one.
Tennessee has a big.
I was going to go here, but I went actually with the truth, because I do believe that Jeremy Pruitt has a tougher rebuilding job. Not only are they faced with trying to get the talent level back to what we've come to expect in Knoxville, but he's got a whole culture change to try to adjust. And I think the culture is much worse than what we thought it was even in the offseason. So
next up, let's go with some games. Arkansas, A&M, and Arlington.
This is always a weird, crazy kind of game. Weird stuff seems to happen. But I'm going to go with A&M 31, Arkansas 13. Arkansas still continues to struggle. They're in a bit of disarray. I'm anxious to see if that offensive line for A&M can protect a little bit better, though. They're last in the conference when it comes to sacks allowed. I just think they got more talent, more of it together right now in Jimbo Fisher's first year than what Chad Morris does.
Here's today's best SEC games. Marcus, we start with you.
Yes, it's Jimbo Fisher, Jay Sternberger, and Kellen Mond. Sternberger has 4 touchdowns in 4 games this year. I told you guys Jimbo Fisher was going to use this tight end, and he's been prolific in this offense. Kellen Mond doing a tremendous job. Texas A&M coming off a tough loss, but they have to go and get it done against Arkansas.
At noon, immediately following College Game Day. Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies trying to take care of Arkansas. Arkansas may have a little bit of a change at running back. Talk about that a little bit later on. The Aggies, 2 tough losses to Clemson, and then.
But coming up on ESPN at noon, in less than a half hour, Chad Morris and Arkansas looking to get the ship righted against Texas A&M in his first season as Arkansas's head coach. He's all smiles now, and this game has been wild in the past. Maybe we'll see more of that today as Jimbo Fisher and this Texas A&M Aggie team trying to right their ship as well. It feels like it could be tense, desperate to win on both sides. And Kellen Mond, the quarterback of Texas A&M, has been impressive, even running pretty well against Alabama's defense. He can do a lot in this Jimbo Fisher offense. Plenty more to come on this game as we will Dre Greenlaw getting ready for action in less than 20 minutes against Texas A&M. The Arkansas Razorbacks there, and we know that this game always leads to some crazy fireworks, especially over the last 6 years.
And one more, Coca-Cola Zero Sugar counting us down to kickoff. Chad Morris has been a rough start at Arkansas. Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M after playing really tough schedule as Kellen Mond playing well.
I'll tell you, Jerry Jones gets some use out of that stadium.
Yeah,
They've exactly right. Every time I look up, there's a college game there. A&M looking to bounce back. This is a team that they need to play. Arkansas after last week, what happened against Alabama. Balanced attack. I look for the Aggies to get it going again.
Who's taking the next step? Brought to you by Regions Bank, and this is where we get to make some picks. Lots of interesting games around the SEC, but we agreed on quite a few things here. You guys all picked A&M, you all picked Georgia, and you all picked LSU.
Shockers.
Shockers!
This job with that toughness he showed last week at Auburn, earning the respect of his teammates and coaches.
A rivalry that dates back to 1915, the old Southwest Conference, reunited now, and Texas A&M joined the SEC. Conference rivals once again, and A&M starts with the football, and they start with a big play on the kickoff return. Tayshawn Corbin. Is he in? And it's a touchdown!
Constantly one play ahead.
An interception thrown by Kellen Mond. Oh, that is exactly what Arkansas needed.
Coverage, Kellen's going to get it out of his hand, and we're going to move the chains, and instead a veteran linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, sees the eyes of Mond locked in. Look at his eyes the entire way, and it's that second hitch. It is that second hitch, that split-second decision there to just hold it.
Travion Williams picks up 2. Brock Ewert, Allison Williams set for the start of the second quarter of the Southwest Classic. Arkansas and Texas A&M keeps on getting more and more competitive under Coach Babers. Death Valley is a brutal environment. They're playing really well so far. As Cheyenne O'Grady gets loose. The tight end makes a big play for Arkansas. Just what they needed.
Snuck his way out. That was well done.
Rakeem Boyd. Back-to-back plays. These are the first 2 first downs of the game for the Razorbacks.
Maybe Coach Morris, a little bit of a fight.
And a little exotic formation as they throw one up the seam again. It's O'Grady. They took the left tackle, Colton Jackson, split him out wide to the right to kind of fool Kelly. A high snap. Gathers and scores. He lost the football in the end zone, but the official on the far side says touchdown. Cole Kelly broke the plane, and the moment that he gets to that white end zone chalk, the play is over. It doesn't matter if the ball popped out.
No, it's hard to snap over the head of a 6'8" quarterback. But Ty Clary nearly did, and I'll tell you what, I think that ball crosses clear leg. I'll tell you what, sometimes on kickoff returns.
Clock down to 4 as Mond has his team set. Little run pass option. He'll run it, and that turned out to not necessarily be a great option.
He's really changed from where he was a little undisciplined early in his career. He's become a captain. He gets his head out of the way.
They bring a blitz. It's picked up. Mond throws an interception. Dre Greenlaw picks it off. His second of the first half.
You could not take a sack and knock yourself out of field goal range, and you could not turn the ball over. And you see the feet there. Once his feet move, he loses his eyes. He loses, and you're right, there was a funky little blitz there. John Chavis, he knows A&M pretty well. He coordinated the defense there a season ago, and he brings just a little new
How do you
look.
do that? How do you create enough time for your quarterback and some separation for those receivers? Here's a lane for Rakeem Boyd. Down the sideline with some speed. Well, the run game might loosen things up as Rakeem Boyd is to midfield before he steps out of bounds.
Stunt here from A&M. Sense of urgency isn't just on offense, it's defensively. And that line stunt that you stunt yourself out of the play. And there you see the speed outrunning the angle there.
So this one from 47. Well inside his range. And he's got it. It's a one-score game. Points to start off the third quarter for the Razorbacks.
Tell of a pulling action.
Quarterback run for Kellen Mond. It'll be second down and 13.
These guys and teach those situations.
Mond under pressure. He'll be sacked. Armon Watts got him. Now it's third down and a mile.
Ramsey and Watts and Smith and Agim. I mean, these are four-star guys. There's some heavy recruits, and you've got enough talent there inside. I like it.
5 sacks for A&M. Across his body, Ty Story flips one out across the 10-yard line. Ponder and the rest of the group. Here's Kellen Mond, a little fake towards the line, and now he goes down. Held the ball forever and paid the price with the sack.
Is there a jolt? Is there something that you can do as a play caller here to get your team going, and you're trying to run the deep play action? But where are you throwing it? I mean, there is nobody. And give Arkansas a whole lot of credit for their discipline.
Fisher said that Kellen Mond checks about 70% of the plays at the line for A&M. Looked like he checked one there. Long throw to the sideline, knocked away. Ryan Pulley was there in coverage on Kendrick Rogers. Lost ball on the snap. It's picked up by Story, and he heaves one down the sideline. Incomplete. Story from the end zone. Pretty well protected this time, and he fires a strike to the true freshman, Michael Woods. What a big third down throw from Ty Story. I thought it was great when Joe Craddock, the offensive coordinator for Arkansas, made the point that John Chavis, the defensive coordinator, went and sought out Ty Story this past week after the pounding he took last week at Auburn. He said, if you think all of your defensive teammates don't appreciate that, think again. A lot of respect for Ty Story in that Arkansas locker room as we head to the fourth quarter with A&M on top by 7. Trevion Williams is met behind the line. Quarterback run for Kellen Mond. He's going nowhere. Oh, did he get popped right at the line? Again, Bijan Harris comes through to make the stop.
That's big time. Right tackle's got to come down and block the linebacker. Not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say. To really get the leverage, we're able to seal that edge. And Trevion, who's done so much of the dirty work for 55 minutes, he finally got a little payday.
Downs offensively today for Arkansas. Now they need 2 scores in 5 minutes. Ty Story, screenplay, Rakeem Boyd, down the sideline. And it looks like he may have a first down, Allison. And there's a lot of scandal in college sports as Story drops back to pass and extends the play. And he's going to run and slide for a first down. But Brock, they clock down to 1. Again, a ground ball snap. Story looking downfield, fires a strike. He's got Cheyenne O'Grady. That's a first down. Now again, Arkansas needs a couple of scores, so this has to be the hurry-up offense playing with tempo after they picked up 24.
Can I give you another story of resilience? How about this quarterback who's taken a beating, who stared down these A&M defenders who've been in his lap, who's had to field pop-ups and ground balls playing quarterback.
Here comes the blitz again. Story takes a shot, fires one up the seam. He's got a touchdown. This time Michael Woods gets free and holds on. The true freshman with a 29-yard touchdown catch.
Moving the ball a little bit. He knows it. He can see that pressure coming right on. He's going to get hit. And he's going to get hit by Tyrell Dotson, the weak side linebacker, and there's nothing he can do about it other than to stand in there. And Michael Woods, freshman, they got grabbed 2 plays prior. That time he runs right by Charles Oliver on the snap.
Trevion Williams shut down before he even ggets back to the line of scrimmage. Travion Williams, no gain on first down, and the final timeout now called by Chad Morris. Get another chance with the football. Kellen Mond back to throw. Down the sideline, he's taking a shot. Incomplete. They went for the home run to Kendrick Rogers. It's a bit short, though. Fair catch called for and made in traffic by Deion Stewart at the 26-yard line. Could you imagine a better case scenario for Arkansas than what they just got?
Nope.
This time a 5-man rush. Story with a shot down the sideline, and it's intercepted. Donovan Wilson playing center field. So it's victory formation for the Aggies after they come off a 45-23 loss last week at Alabama, a game where they were favored by 3 touchdowns today against Arkansas. But Chad Morris's team put up quite a fight.
Sure did.
A&M is going to survive.
The list of details, they always show up. And for Ty, he's not been in that moment. In his career in Arkansas, he's not had that chance. And the only reason that he's even in that moment is because of his guts.
Arkansas and A&M in their annual Arlington battle, Jerry World. A&M's won 6 in a row in the series. Opening kickoff. You know how rough it's been for the Razorbacks to this point. That continued in the opening seconds. Joshua Corbin down the sideline. 7-zip Aggies.
Well, we saw this exact same thing last week in the Auburn game with another 96-yard touchdown return. Obviously, they addressed it in practice this week, but didn't do any good. But that's a great job of execution by A&M.
And for a team that needs something positive to happen early on, that was about the worst start that Arkansas could have hoped for.
Hey, Travion Williams, nice day for him. 152 yards on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns. Gets out of bounds. There's a flag. Later in the drive, Travion from a yard out.
Arkansas was number 1 in the conference against the run heading into today, and Texas A&M was able to gash them early and often.
They'd given up 88 yards a carry. That's top 15 in the country, folks. But yeah, over 170 yards on the ground for A&M on this day. But look, Chad Morris's team not going away. Down 17-0 near the goal line. Here comes the big boy, Cole Kelly makes a great play on an errant snap, too.
That's what's so impressive about these guys. They did not quit. We didn't see it on offense. We didn't see it on defense. And look, when you're 6'7", 260.
Good thing he's 6'7". He wouldn't have caught that.
No, he wouldn't have. But it's a good thing because you can run people over on the goal line.
You know how far over my head that thing would have been? Then Kellen Mond, 17 of 26, did have 2 interceptions on the day.
I thought we saw some resiliency from that Arkansas defense, too.
Yeah.
They did it last week against Auburn. They fought after some short field turnover situations, and today they kept their team in it until the offense could finally get something going.
And then Mond, with the Aggies trying to put the thing away here. Illegal hands to the face, though. Jonathan Marshall. Drive extended. Aggies at the 3. Well, they're just shooting themselves in the foot, right? I mean, that's Arkansas. Just
and 14 points might as well be 100 with Arkansas's offense, but they finally put something together here on this drive. Nice throw by Ty Story to get him back to within 1 possession.
Ty Story to Mike Woods, 29 yards, and it's a 24-17 game. Just over a minute to go. The Razorbacks get it back. Story kind of floats one, and Donovan Wilson gets under it to make the interception, and Texas A&M gets the win, the 7th straight in the series. It was not easy. 24-17, but again, lots to grow on if you are Arkansas. But it is the Aggies that go to 3-2 with the W.
I think we played real well. Thought we played in spurts. Thought we come out and started well. Had some great things off the beginning. Lost control of the game. Had control of the game. Let guys hang in the game. Up 3 scores. Let them get back in the game.
First of all, it was a heck of a football game. You know, against if you're just an average fan and you wanted to come see a really good football game, you saw a really good football game today.
When you got to take the air out of people. When you got to take their hope away. Because as long as there's hope, that gives momentum and that changes games. And on offense, it's not the defense's fault. Because on offense, we had plenty of opportunities to miss.
And to walk into a locker room and to see their hurt, and but to know that we are getting better. This is a better football team than we've been this year, and we're going to continue to get better.
Ouachita Baptist, Arkansas Tech. Carter Burcham going to go to the end zone with it. Keandre Evans picks it off. Turn it up to 11. Juice.
Run up to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 40, 35, 25, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. DeAndre Evans, no flags down, touchdown, touchdown.
Watching a Baptist play man Rex Nelson going yard by yard.
He was like on a 4-second delay.
We need that guy here for final. We need some energy. He's bringing the energy.
Picking off Arkansas Tech Wonder Boys past 100 yards. Incredible.